information because I thought this thing was going to be on a much bigger level, but I didn't have the information sources to basically share that. Now this guy seems to be, hitting these things very well. Now I'm going to scroll through some of his stuff. And here it is. Please just don't forget that I warned long before about the Japan mega quake. He thinks there's going to be a 10.3 mega quake. He gives a lot of good information. He's been nailing it from a lot of stuff that I've seen and other people have seen about him. So he's kind of one of those guys who just started tapping into this, and he did it like 3 years ago. He started seeing, things, and he saw that there were some problems with the Earth energies. He saw that the plates were starting to lock up and build up energy. So he talks about that. So this was today. So it says alert. Japan said. So this was 5 hours ago when he posted it, and this has been a little bit longer now. When was it? 6:12 a.m. This was July 2nd, actually. So it says alert. Japan said that much more needs to be done to prepare for a possible mega quake to reduce the feared death toll of up to 300,000 people. Now, if it's a 10.3 like this Canadian is researcher is saying, it will be a lot more than 300,000. In fact, it will travel around the world and will cause probably tsunamis of 1,000 feet, guys. And so just want you guys to be aware. No fear porn. I don't care about fear porn, but I do care about being aware, right? Many aspects of earthquakes are seeing reduction due to plates starting to get really tight. Lack of depth, size, amount. Now, in Japan, they've been having, I just saw one article where in the last 2 weeks, they've had 120, or was it 100,000? No, it was 1,200, something like that. It was way up there. And the numbers of quakes are more than like 2011. So 2011, when the quakes start to chatter like they're doing, start to go off, then that's usually, for at least Japan area, that's an indicator that something bigger is coming. So they're coming in at a higher rate, and they're coming in at a higher number and a higher intensity. So that points us to the possibility that the Canadian earthquake researcher is accurate and he's on point, right? So let's look at a little bit more. I announced the start of my fundraiser, so he's going to go to certain places and help. He wants to get to a safe place, so he goes on to talk about a lot of these things. 6.6 plus magnitudes are happening, and good chance you noticed me warn 2 days ago that we need to start watching Northeast Japan. So this was back in May 31st. So here we go. Magnitude 6.1 Northeast Japan. So the magnitudes are pretty intense right now in Japan. Now he gives some insight of the safe places. So as you see here, all the places that are in black, along in red, it even has red along the East Coast. So I don't know what he's seeing about activity out there, but anyway, along the West Coast, all the way down the coast into South America, Central America, and South America. He's basically got it mapped out. You should be off the coastline. And black areas will have devastating, matching the 2024 Note Japan local earthquake devastation. So here's the devastation from the floods right here in Japan. Wow, it looks like it's been bombed out and burned to the ground. That's crazy. So devastation, maybe it was, maybe after the quake they had burning, but due to tsunami and earthquake. So he talks about all this stuff, and he goes into depth and he goes into detail about a lot of this stuff. So he says tsunamis. I looked this up. Tsunamis are displaced water that quickly spreads out in all directions. So at the beach, you need to be 1,000 feet above sea level, because he's predicting about a 1,000 foot tsunami and all around the Pacific Rim, pretty much. So depending on the topography, a mile inland, you might be fine at 700 feet, 5 miles inland, 200 feet. Depends on the topography. So if a tsunami comes in at 1,000 feet, it's going to go to where inland until it hits 1,000 feet. It's just going to keep going in. Because of topography and so forth, it could slow it down a little bit. It could bring the height down some. But the largest tsunami that's ever been recorded was 1,720 feet in Lutya Bay, Alaska. It was in 1958, July 9th, 1958. An earthquake along the Fairweather Fault loosened about 40 million cubic yards, about 30.6 million cubic meters of rock high above the northeastern shore of Lutya Bay. This massive rock plunged the cliffside. So let me change the screen here and bring up this other one. So basically flooded all the way up to that height. Right, so it went so far inland until it reached that height, because this is like a deep bay, and there's mountainsides going up. So when it all that rock plunged, it traveled 1,720 feet up the sides. So it's like dropping something in your bathtub, and it displaces water, and the water rises to a certain level. If you drop something really big in there, it's going to like displace the water. It's going to slosh over the sides and all that stuff. So the wave hit with such power that it swept completely over the spur of land that separates Gilbert Inlet from the main body of Lutya Bay. The wave then continued down the entire length of Lutya Bay over La Chausse Spit and into the Gulf of Alaska. The force of the wave removed all trees and vegetation from elevations as high as 1,720 feet above sea level. Millions of trees were uprooted and swept away by the wave. So that sounds more powerful than what we were looking at from that flood in Guadalupe, that river. Because you could see, it was carrying, cars and so forth, and houses. Houses got, knocked off their foundations and went down river too. So, but you saw that a lot of trees were still left. Now, this one was so powerful, it uprooted the trees. There were no trees that were left. So that's what happens with a tsunami. So yeah, a flooding river is very powerful, very, can cause a lot of damage. But as we saw with the hurricane, not the hurricane, but the tsunami that hit Indonesia, where over 200,000 people were killed, tsunamis can, travel. The energy of them can travel and really cause a lot of devastation and destruction and kill a lot of people. So that's one of the things that we're looking at if we do get a tsunami. Now, he talked about there was another one. I didn't go to it, but he talked about in another interview on his Instagram. So he has an Instagram site too. That's where I got a lot of that stuff. He talked about he was doing an interview, and I don't know, maybe I can get this guy to do an interview with him too, because he needs money to go do his trip to India and do research and stuff. So maybe we can help him out. But he talked about how if that 10.3 triggers in Japan, it could hit because the Cascadia subduction zone is having problems too. It's basically tensioning up, building up energy. So that 10.3 in Japan could travel around and cook off the subduction zone, he said. And that's where we get those crazy waves, right? So in January 26, 1700, was the last time the Cascadia subduction zone off the coast of Oregon, California, earthquake that struck that. It was a 9.0, and it caused significant land subsidence and a massive tsunami. The tsunami was, now remember, a lot of you are like, there's no way a earthquake in Japan could harm us, right? Yeah. So that subduction in off the coast of Oregon and California, which caused a lot because the Indians talked about it, the locals. There was some, I guess, settlers there or something during that time frame. They talked about it too. But all the way across in Japan, they had a tsunami over there, and it wiped out villages. It was like a ghost. They called it the ghost tsunami because it didn't have, there was no earthquake, and just all of a sudden here's a tsunami, boom, and took out a lot of the local communities along the coastline. So imagine the local communities along the coastlines of America, the West Coast, 1,000 feet. It's going to take a lot of people out, right? Because that's where most people live, along the coast, on the east and west coast, and everywhere in the world. Most people live along the coast, not in the mountains. I live in the mountains now. All right. So yeah, it's getting a little crazy. You need to be heads up out there of what's going on. So I can go back. Actually, I didn't put that away. I'm going to go back and we'll listen to his interview. It's pretty insightful. I think this is, no, that's not it. Let's go back to this one. Is that this is Instagram. So
tell us what is happening not far from where we're sitting here in Seattle, and what do you predict?
The Cascadia subduction zone. So yeah, I know that it's been locked tight and quiet for over 300 years. But it's also interesting to note it's actually part of a continuous line of plate boundary that extends from the San Andreas Fault up to the transform boundary of North America, like the Canada-Alaska border, up to the Alaska subduction zone also. One thing that I would wonder might trigger it is when this larger megaquake in the Northwest Pacific triggers a movement of the North America plate, and that could trigger the Cascadia subduction zone also.
Tell us what is happening not far.
All right, so that's pretty much what we're seeing right now. We're seeing this thing basically, it's getting closer. Someone asked him in a chat today, where do you see this right now, percentage-wise of happening? And he says, a couple of weeks ago, I said 77% chance of it happening now. And he said, as time goes further, the percentage goes up. And he says within the time frame of this summer into the summer of 26, he believes it's going to happen. So, I mean, it's not like the manga, person, predicted that there was going to be this mega quake today. It did happen. I didn't see it happening, but I'm not gonna say, because there's so many people that were like all over that. I was like, okay, we'll see how this works out, but I don't see it. But I just keep some of this stuff for myself. All right, so because I'm thinking that it wasn't today, doesn't mean that I don't see it could happen soon, right? Because I do think it's going to happen soonish, right? That's all I can say. And when I feel, if I get like the heebie-jeebies, like I got to like get out of Florida, right? And like everybody in my family got that too, then I'm going to move, right? So this may not be a safe place in the future. So a lot of you like look at those maps, and I show those maps where there's devastation. That doesn't mean it happens overnight. It's not like you wake up and, oh, I was in one of those zones, I'm gone. Right? It's like the angels are like, oh, it's time for you to come here and to heaven now. So it's a gradual thing. So like Hurricane Helene coming up and causing all the damage that happened with that. And then you're like, I think I'm out of here. I think I'm out of here. I was able to push a lot of these hurricanes and calm them down, but because I wasn't able to do that for that one, things have changed, right? So it will be like that. You will see, maybe this massive, earthquake, and maybe we'll get a little ripple. It'll be a devastating one for Japan again, and we'll get a little ripple in California, the West Coast, or whatever, like we did after Fukushima. The tide rose a little bit. Fortunately, it wasn't high tide, and it cause a little bit of damage, but not much. But if it does happen off our coast and it happens on a massive level, like he's talking about, more than a 9, like a 10, that's mega tsunami time, right? So, and a subduction is basically when one plate, subverts below another plate, or they go boom, boom. Then you're going to have, this thing really, really, take off as far as tsunami and the devastation, maybe even from hurricane damage. And there's volcanic activity that's happening in Japan now that's really cooking off. So we know there's lots of stuff going on. And if that happens, subduction happens in off the coast. During that time frame, there were volcanoes that went off as well, right? Now there's a lot of people that think there's going to be I'll have beachfront property. It's interesting through the mic because the last time I was here in Lake Tahoe, I had a dream, and it was a recurring dream, unfortunately, where a massive tsunami came, and it was coming as high as the Lake Tahoe, and it was starting to come up, and I was running for my life up the hill. There was one hill, called it Ski Run, but it was just one long straight road. It used to be, I guess, in the past where the locals, had it as a ski run for just the local kids and stuff, and they turned into a road. So then during that dream, I remember running and getting to the top, and it didn't make it. It's kind of like one of those movies where you see the tsunami coming, you run. So that's kind of the way it was a recurring dream. And then I was like, well, it didn't happen. So I guess it was just that period of time. It didn't happen. This could be the same thing. It could be, one of those periods of time where you believe it's coming, or you see that it's coming, and all indications are that it will happen. But through consciousness, prayer, and, taking out deep state activity that wants to ramp this stuff up, and it could make a difference, right? We've seen it. I've seen it happen. I've done a lot of this stuff for these storms, but I'm not invincible. Obviously, Hurricane Helene knocked hell out of my place. So, and a lot of other people, and killed a lot of people. So Japan has been getting hammered by hundreds of earthquakes. Is all this seismic activity building up to the really big event? So all of a sudden, everyone is watching Japan prior to the magnitude 9.0 that happened. Absolutely devastated. Tsunami slammed into Japan in 2011. There were a number of very alarming foreshocks. There has been a tremendous amount of shaking in Japan during the last couple of weeks. So many are wondering if we're going to get the same thing. So the seismic activity has been very active in the seas around the Tokara Island chain. Even where the tsunami happened in Indonesia, they're having earthquakes there as well. Those just recently started kicking off. So as this guy is writing, he says, as of 4 p.m. today, the number has exceeded 900 in the last 2 weeks. So since he was talking, that was June 21st. Obviously, there's a lot more. So like I said, it's well over 1,000. I think it was like 1,200. So says, so I guess local residents can't sleep because they try and go to sleep and they just get shook all night long. That would be crazy. So wondering if the big one is going to be the one that shakes you awake. So, and that could be an indicator for those people that are there. I mean, do those people like move to higher ground, or do they move somewhere else? I guess there was supposed to be a lot of flights into Japan today, and they canceled a lot of flights into Japan today because of the manga, prediction. It didn't happen today, but it doesn't mean it's not going to happen tonight, does it? So who knows? We may be here in the United States. We might get a big shake, and it could be, not only Japan going off, but the one Cascadia going off. So if 10.3 or something like that happens off the Cascadia, a lot of people aren't going to have enough time to get out, right? And there's going to be tremendous casualties from that. So there's that, and there's also Helene. So Hurricane Helene, which was way off the coast, and I have been calming that thing down, and it was 100 miles off the coast, and I don't know, maybe in history there's been a hurricane that caused problems, but we haven't recorded it. That was 100 miles off the coast and caused the flooding that one did, and then went up into the mountains. And not only did it not lose energy, but it seemed to like bring more rain with it into the mountains. It's like very, very unusual. So we know that was a deep state hurricane. So it claimed the lives of 248 people and caused $78.7 billion in damage. So it's the fifth worst hurricane on or seventh costliest storm on record. I thought I saw where it was fifth, and fourth deadliest storm to make landfall. Okay, so costliest, seventh costliest, and fourth deadliest. So it's got a little graph here. It talks about Florida had even inland had 99 mile per hour winds. Georgia. So Florida had 99 mile per hour winds inland. Georgia gets 100.1. Tell me, and when does that happen? Ever. South Carolina, Lawrence County, Beaufort County, both had 77, 75 mile per hour winds. North Carolina, Mount Mitchell, of course, that's way up there, had 105 mile per hour. Banner Elk, 101. Highest wind gusts in other states: West Virginia, 70. Ohio had 67. Indiana, 67. So this impacted a very, very large scale. Of course, Florida, 34 died. Georgia, 37. More than Florida. South Carolina, 50. So, yes, Floridians are, they know how to weather the hurricanes, but still, I mean, all those people dying. North Carolina, of course, really got the worst, 105. It was like Guadalupe River, all of a sudden it's like, I remember seeing video of people that were driving and the water just kept going up. And so they went into like these different places and water kept going up on the roads and so forth. They kept trying to get higher ground, and then cars are getting flooded and roads are getting flooded while they're all like, they can't, there's nowhere to run. It's crazy. And then of course, that river that went through North Carolina that basically tore all those houses up and killed all those people. Tennessee, 18, Virginia, 3, Indiana, 1. So 248 total. So storm surge, an abnormal rise in water above normal tide levels. So there's no question they manipulated Helene, guys. Will they manipulate more storms in the future? Yeah. Is deep state done? It's going to take years. How many thousands of years have they come? How long did it take to win World War II? 4 or 5 years. How long did it take to win Afghanistan? Oh, we didn't win Afghanistan. 20 years. How long were we in Vietnam? I don't know, a long time. So these guys will continue to play their games, guys, for a long period of time until they're basically all of them are exposed in prison. And so that's why I think that in the next next year, we're going to see some of those major people like Obama and Bush and Clinton, and probably a lot more in the CIA and FBI and so forth, that are going to stand trial and be executed for treason, right? And because they have to go away. So they've been able to stay, commit their crimes, like Hillary Clinton and so forth, commit their crimes. The Clinton crime family, the Obama crime family, the Biden crime family, the Bush crime family. Good God. None of them have stood trial or been held accountable. So if you're a criminal and you go in and shoot up a bank and rob it and then walk out and nothing happens to you, what are you going to do? You're going to keep robbing banks, right? You're going to keep killing people with storms. You're going to keep, taking their money through taxation and all that bullshit. So, they have to be eliminated from the scene completely. so that they can never come back and do this again. So that's going to take time, guys. But we're moving, I think, very quickly in that direction, very quickly. And with the militarization that we're seeing right now of America, it's very important that that happens. So that's not like overnight that Trump has to send all the military around the country. That will take time. So if they're being pre-positioned to do drug intervention and illegal alien capture and transport, okay, we'll use that as an excuse to like get everybody in place, right? So that's, I think, where we're at right now. And they're going to continue to use subterfuge with these storms and these earthquakes and so forth. That's probably going to take a lot of people out, right? And we think 9/11 is bad. Imagine if they were able to kick off the subduction plates off the coast of Oregon and cause that 1,000-foot tsunami. That would give them a lot of wiggle room, wouldn't it? Because everybody would be focused on that, and they could probably stay in power for a little bit longer and solidify everything and eliminate some people that are problems. That's the way these guys have operated for thousands of years, right? So hopefully we'll be able to, take them out of action and stay focused. Even if things get really crazy out there, we still need to keep our focus on getting these guys out off the earth forever, right? And block them from ever reincarnating. I don't know how we can do that, but we got to figure it out. All right, guys. Lots of love. Stay in the love vibration, and we'll see you guys next time. Happy 4th.